Well, let's turn to the big story today, Hunter Biden. This is history making, the first child of a sitting president to be convicted of a crime. I'm interested in the different media treatment. Initially, the Hunter Biden laptop story was fake. You know, it was pulled off social media. The established media refused to cover it. Most of that he hasn't been prosecuted for or even investigated for. Here, this is drug addiction and a gun crime.
Yes, well, look, certainly. I mean, the big takeaway for me, I think the long-term impact of this case is really, as you suggest, the verification of that laptop. I mean, this was censored. It was obviously real. The FBI had this laptop, in fact, as you probably know, from 2019. So they knew it was real. They certainly knew it was real. And yet the story from the New York Post was censored in October 2020. That's just extraordinary stuff. And so, the confirmation that the laptop is real really is extremely embarrassing for most of the mainstream media. And of course, those famous 51 Intel experts.
All of the media, the left media, presented the outcome today as a very sad story for the Biden family. Many families in America are going through this. But then there was this desperation to get Trump. Is this purely politics?
Well, look, I really think that both men are the subject, I think the victim rather, of the weaponisation of the justice system. Certainly in the case of Donald Trump, you saw the Democrat Party hankering for him to be prosecuted. But I think it's also fair to say that the only reason that Hunter Biden was prosecuted was because he's the president's son. And there were, constant calls from Republicans for him to be prosecuted. I don't think if he was an ordinary Joe Blow in the US, that he would have been prosecuted for this crime, which after all is extremely hard to prove whether or not someone is taking drugs at the time when they buy a gun. But of course, in the president's son's case, there was so much scrutiny of his private life that it was well known that he was. So look, I think it's a pretty sad day for the US, for the US justice system for both cases. But the irony is that I don't think it's really going to have any effect on the political, the political outcome either for Trump or for the Biden family.
I mean, we thought, or many people expected, Trump would be further ahead in the polls by now. The fact that he's not, overwhelmingly ahead of Joe Biden, does this show that the criminal cases have had an impact, perhaps with undecided voters?
Well, look, I think both of them are very weak candidates. I mean, Trump is ahead in the polls, he's ahead in the betting markets, and I think the takeaway, from the hush money case is that it didn't really seem to affect his standing very much at all. I mean, of course, sentencing hasn't happened yet. That's on the 11th of July. That could change things, I suppose, if he's sent to prison. But he remains ahead. And of course, from the hush money case, he raised about $100 million or more for his campaign. So if anything, it may have actually helped him. I mean, I think on the Biden side, I think the tax evasion case, which is going to be heard in California later this year, that could be more politically damaging for Biden. Because of course, in that case, you're going to hear more about the extravagant spending. And of course, there'll be more allegations of corruption in relation to Joe Biden and Hunter Biden's finances and their operations in Ukraine and China when the older Biden was vice president. So I think that could be more politically damaging.
Yeah, all right. It will not be out of the news for long. Adam Creighton, thank you very much for joining us tonight.